We focused on information and stories that Ronnie really wanted to get to the bottom of.
We actually witnessed a nurse that actually had walked right past us.
Oh
And she was actually self-illuminating. Like, you could actually see her.
You can watch a moment where you see something on the DVR kind of blip as if somebody went into a door, which is the exact pattern that the nurse took.
What are you getting from the woman?
You wouldn't have liked it if you were my patient.
They were seeing something crawling on the wall.
There was a black figure. It crawled across the top of the ceiling.
The activity was just getting a lot more aggressive.
Some of our guests are being aggressively pushed, aggressively touched.
This is all activity that's very concerning.
I definitely just saw something on the right-hand side up there.
Who's that?
I'm Adam Berry,
And I'm Amy Bruni.
and this is Kindred Spirits Inside the Investigation.
I mean, it really, it runs the gamut of paranormal activity. You kind of see a bit of everything in this space. It's an investigator's dream to kind of get their hands on a building like this.
This is the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. This place is massive. I did not know how we were going to figure this case out when we showed up there day one.
It was a full-service hospital. It had dental services, it had hospital services, as well as emergency room as well.
When did it close?
1998. Before the hospital was actually built, there was actually a plantation that was on the grounds. And according to what we understood or what we heard is that the plantation actually burned.
Ronnie Dooley is the owner of the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, and he really just fell in love with the building. He had a very powerful paranormal experience there.
And we actually witnessed a nurse that actually had walked right past us. And she was actually self-illuminating. Like, you could actually see her.
And that experience really drove him to eventually buy the building. And he's an excellent caretaker for that space.
We're finding that most of the activity that we're getting is actually when we're doing some of the renovations.
Okay.
And then what else?
We can go to part of the building that we call the body box. But in this hospital, we didn't have a morgue, so they had stored them in what was called the body box.
And did you get activity in here?
This is actually a very active part of the hospital. Just recently, we had 3 people doing the spirit box experiment, and we were asking questions, and we were getting intelligent responses.
Oh, man.
We were called in because the activity was just getting a lot more aggressive.
So this is our 3rd floor. This is our most active floor in the building. There is a very aggressive spirit up here.
This is all activity that's very concerning. And when you have someone like Ronnie, who is just super positive, super chill, just really wanting to make this a fun place, but also restore it to have it look like the hospital it was before, this is the kind of activity he does not want in that building.
One of the claims of the building is there's a shadow, and you will actually get the full shadow.
Down there?
Down here.
There was one instance where a woman literally had this crazy shadow figure type thing come out of the wall and jump on her and pin her against the wall opposite her. They were seeing something crawling on the wall. This is all activity that's very concerning.
There was a black figure, about the size of a dog. It crawled across the top of the ceiling and then around the corner.
We did have to investigate that at one point. I think we even split up.
So what if we split up and made ourselves more vulnerable? Because when they had these experiences, everyone was alone.
Yeah, and especially because it does prefer women.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the other end. Okay, I definitely just saw something on the right-hand side up there.
Who's that? And I saw this shadow figure peek out and go back in. We were able to figure out exactly what door it was, and then we were able to figure out how tall this person was.
It was up to here, peeking out. I said, I'd like to see this 7-foot shadow, and I saw something look out of one of these. It's like a shoulder and a head,
Weird.
kind of like a peeking out.
It's so rare for that to happen, but it's just not often that you see something like that with your own eyes and then have it confirmed.
Hi, guys.
Hey, welcome. We brought Chip into the investigation. We were hoping he was gonna pick up on this man who used to live in that space, because this is someone that Ronnie feels very strongly is still present in the hospital.
The only other thing is that male person.
I'll tell you what I get.
What?
This guy you're trying to reach here. It kind of feels like he's not really interested in participating in any of this.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk to us.
Right. We got no evidence that he was in that space, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
We're trying to reach out to this nurse. Our friend Ronnie saw you, and my friend is here and said you. So how about we now talk to you?
At one point, we were talking to a nurse that interacted with us up in where the babies were born, where Ronnie had his experience. We feel that she was there.
What are you getting from the woman?
She's challenging you. She said, you wouldn't have liked it if you were my patient.
We felt that we were talking to different individuals and different spirits, but I don't think anyone specifically came out at us and said, hi, I need your help, this is who I am. There was just a lot. I mean, it's a hospital. So many things have happened in that space, and so many people have come and gone that I feel like, we were there to really dispel a lot of the rumors for them so that they could sort of start at a clean slate.
While we didn't see anything crawl on the wall, we did capture some really great stuff on the DVR. So this is like 606. It sort of comes out of this doorway, goes to the right.
Wow. That's like an amazing catch.
You can watch a moment where you see something on the DVR kind of blip where the entrance where somebody would walk in. So you see it, and then it blips close to the camera, and then it like makes as if somebody went into a door, which is the exact pattern that the nurse took.
Chip picked up on a shadow figure that stayed on the 3rd floor. He said he presents as very tall, whoever this person is. He didn't give us any identifying information. Chip also picked up on a female, a nurse, he said, also on the 3rd floor. And we got some activity that correlated with those entities as well.
I'm just gonna let it play, and then you tell me if you notice anything.
Wow. That's exactly the same path that the nurse had the night that I had that experience.
In the end, the hospital was very, very, very big, and we focused on information and stories that Ronnie and his crew really wanted to get to the bottom of.
We tried to nail down this history of plantation having stood here before. What actually stood here before was just kind of woods.
Basically what that means is we can't corroborate there being a plantation fire, then that really has nothing to do with the haunting in the building.
Exactly. And that's good too, because you have so many people coming in to investigate, they can get away from that and start trying to nail down who is actually in the building.
Right.
Because there are definitely spirits in the building.
Giving them the appropriate information and the right factual information, they are going to be able to investigate on their own and really get solid answers about who might be in a certain space or in section, knowing that there could be thousands of entities in that space. So it's like you've got to tread lightly with some of these spirits, I think.
We brought up a bunch of names that we knew, but nothing kind of clicked with that.
Yeah, so I think that in the long run, what's great about this space is that you guys kind of have an ongoing investigation here. Right. And it's also very important as people investigate to give them kind of like a code of conduct. Obviously no provoking, right. No bringing up things that never even happened here, because if they start getting anxious, they start getting restless. Right. That's really what we think you just need to kind of instill here going forward.
I think he is the person to do that.
I believe it.
And I really look forward to seeing the future of the hospital and what it brings to South Pittsburgh, Tennessee.
Thanks for watching, and for more Kindred Spirits content, head to Travel Channel Go.